In this video, we are going to learn the basics of editing in Final Cut Pro 10. Remember that this is intended for the IEEE academic project, so every example will be given in that context. If you want to try out these steps as we move along, have in mind that you should have some recorded content to try this on. Let's begin. As soon as you open Final Cut Pro, you will find something like this. Compared to most video editing applications, this has a very simplified look that we can make more elaborate as we see fit. The event library will allow us to collect all the original files into specific collections. We can see the event as something that happened, being either a recording of a teacher explaining a certain topic, or the video coverage of an event. Right next to the event library is the preview pane. This is where you can preview every clip in a fast and simple way. We will be using this constantly. To the far right, we have the inspector. It allows us to get every information about the currently selected object. This is where we will make changes and adjustments to our video. And right below, we have the resources we can add to enrich our final video. We have transitions, titles, effects, even video generators. Finally, on the left, we have the project library. This is where we will start to plan and create our ideas for a final video. We'll get to that part in a minute, but first, let's get some original content to edit. We have one academic lesson with editing still pending, so let's take care of that. For that, we are going to create an event related to that recording. So we go to File, New Event, and we give it the according name, which in this case is partial derivatives. Press Enter, and we have our event created. It does not have anything yet, but we can import files in 3 different ways. We can choose import files, and we have a lot of options, and we can search our files within the hard drive. We can choose also import from camera, and we have all the cameras listed on the left pane and the preview in the center. Or we can just drag and drop things from the Finder directly into the event. That is what we are going to do, so we are going to Finder. We already have these 4 clips from partial derivatives selected, and we drag them to the event. You can see them showing up, and soon the sound waves right below each clip. This way we can preview what sound there is at each moment. Now, if we want to preview our clips, we can just select them and press the spacebar.
Em ordem a y, portanto a derivada em ordem
Press the
à
spacebar
segunda
again to
variável.
stop. And as you can see, we can preview everything like this. You may have noticed that as soon as I selected the clip, the inspector began inspecting. So we have 3 panes here. We have the video one, where all the properties of the video and the effects will be listed. We have the audio, and we have the information. In this information, you get things like resolution and the frame rate, along with some of the file's information. You may have noticed that when we played this clip, there is some background noise.
Primeiro a derivada em ordem a x, certo? Portanto, vamos exatamente neste caso.
It is slight, but it can become annoying. So right here in the inspector, and keep in mind that this does not change the original file, we can just come to Audio Analysis and use the background noise removal. We play again.
Voltar a usar a definição. Estamos outra vez a calcular uma
And as you
derivada
can see,
parcial
the
do
background
ponto.
noise is no longer there. You may have noticed that the teacher's voice has gone down a little. So we are going to lower the amount of removal. We may get some of the noise back, but the sound of the voice of the teacher will not be that changed.
Zero, que é este ramo em baixo, que à volta tem pontos.
Much better than the original.
Maneira.
Let's see that again. Without the filter.
Temos 1 sobre H. Vamos ter que fazer
With the filter.
a variação da segunda coordenada em H.
We can go back here, and in the video we can do similar changes. The default one that always appears here is balance. We can just select the automatic analysis, and it will balance colors. In this case, we won't need this. Now we are ready to create a project. In the project library, we can add projects by selecting this small plus button, or do the same thing like we did with the event. We can go to File, and create new project. Every project has a default event. The default event is where all or most of the content for the project is located. In this case, the name of our project will be partial derivatives, example 2. So we will only use partially the content we have imported. I'm going to select custom at 1080p, 25 frames per second. Press OK. And now we have a place to work on our project. This is the timeline. This is where we drag the content and use it to create the final look of the video. So I'm going to want to use some of these. I'll see which one of these are the example number 2. This is number 1. This is number 2. And this is also number 2. Okay, so I'm going to select both of them and drag them to the timeline. I release them. And this is my project now. The first thing that you might want to do in one of these projects is to trim the video. We can just zoom in here. And as you can see, it looks like the video is longer, but in fact, we are just getting closer. We can play with the spacebar.
Portanto, será pertinente perguntar, uma vez que não...
And as you can see, we have the same background noise problem we had earlier. So we click, we go to audio. This time it has detected a potential problem, and of course it's background noise. So we select it and we play it again.
Perguntar, uma vez que no exemplo 1 não recorremos
Now we might want to trim. This part is silent, so we have no interest in this part. We can just go to the tip here and drag to remove the silent part. Now we have this.
Portanto, será pertinente perguntar, uma vez que no...
Much better. We can do the same up front. I'm going to zoom out a little. Go here, which is where the first and the second clip meet. I'm going to zoom in and see where this ends.
Ao cubo e dá 1, certo? Portanto, esta derivada parcial dá 1. Por curiosidade, uma vez que isso costuma ser um mito. Vamos cortar.
Okay, the teacher asked to cut here, so I'm just going to trim this way. The same to the second clip. We can always identify the silences from the lack of a sound wave, so we trim here too.
A derivada em ordem...
Now, we want to make this transition smooth. If we just play it like it is, it's like this.
Uma vez que isso costuma ser um mito. A derivada...
This is definitely not smooth. So now we can use a transition. We have transitions here. We can preview the cross dissolve just like we preview every other clip. So we can press the spacebar and have a continuous preview of what a cross dissolve is. We can do the same thing with band, black hole, and every other effect. So we just drag the cross dissolve and we release, and now we can preview.
Costuma ser mito. A derivada em ordem...
Much smoother. We still haven't trimmed on the last part. Let's see.
Para que as derivadas deem o mesmo valor.
And this is the end. So we trim. And the video is cut and joined. Now, sometimes it might be needed to make a few changes in the middle of the clip. So we can just find these parts.
0, 0, que é este ramo em baixo, que à volta tem pontos definidos daquela maneira. Agora temos som
And
H.
let's say that I want to cut from here to here. This is our set of tools. One of them is the blade, and we are going to use the blade to make the cuts. I want to cut here and here, and I want to remove all of this. So I go back to arrow, or select. I select this part I don't want, and I just press backspace. This instantly drags all the content on the front to join the last clip. Now we have the same problem we had earlier, which is the transition is not smooth. So we can just drag across to solve here and preview. In the timeline clips, we have this very thin black line. If we hover over it, it says 0 decibels. This indicates that this line is setting the volume for the clip. We can change this volume throughout time. So if we don't want some sound to come out, we can just set it down. So we press Alt, we click, and we create what we call a keyframe. Keyframes can be moved independently. So if we create two, by pressing Alt and click again, I can lower the second keyframe and keep the first in the same place. You may have noticed that the sound wave was significantly reduced here. We can do the same here, one keyframe, two keyframes, and raise the second back to 0 decibels. This means that between this keyframe and this keyframe, the volume will be down. We can try this and then back up. This can be very useful in removing unwanted noises in the clip. Now that we have our clips edited, we want to put the intro in the beginning. I'm going to go back here to the project library. I'm going to choose the academic intro with 2 lines. I'm going to select everything because I want the full intro in the project. I'm going to copy this. Back to project library, partial derivatives. And then I'm going to make sure that this pointer here is in the beginning, because when I press Command V, or when I paste, it will place everything right on this point. And now we can preview. Title still needs changing. And it's looking smooth. So how do I change the title? This is a compound clip. Compound clips can be edited within themselves. So I will double click, and now I'm editing the compound clip. We have 2 objects here. The title placeholder, which is a text object, and the author, which is also a text object. I'm going to select the title placeholder, the plain text. As you can see, we use the inspector for everything, and I will change the title. So it's partial derivatives example 2. I'm going to change the author to. Everything is changed now. So I'll just go back 1 step because we are in partial derivatives, compound clip, back 1 step, and now the title is changed. I can preview this. And it's looking nice. Now we need to place the logo on the corner of the screen. For that we also have a template. So I'm going back to project library. I'm going to open this template. In the documentation you have all the information to make these templates. And I will paste it here. Now notice that if I just place it here and paste it, it will overwrite the clip on the main line. And I don't want to do that, so I'm going to undo this. I'm going to zoom out. and I am going to paste it here. This way it is not overwriting anything. I'll just drag it to the top layer, and this is where you will certainly notice the layering in this application. If I click here, as you can see, the logo is on top of the other video. You can just keep adding layers on top of layers and have the same effect as you see here. I don't want this to go on forever, so I'm going to trim this until the end of the clip. And now we have a 3-minute and 30-second lesson. Just going back here and preview this part.
Portanto, será pertinente perguntar.
Now that we have the intro and the logo, we need the outro. The outro will depend on if you have sponsors or not. If you don't, you can use the simple outro. This, like the logo, will also be adapted to your country. Here we have the Portugal one, so I am going to select this, copy, going back to our project and paste at the end. Here we go. And now I'm going to see what happened. So I'm going to put the reading pointer here. I'm going to preview.
Que as derivadas deem o mesmo valor.
And it looks nice. If you have sponsors, you can use the other outro. So I'm going to undo this one. I'm going back to the project manager or project library. I'm going to choose the sponsored outro. We can preview the outro. It will look like this. I'm going to pause here. These 3 places are the placeholders for the logos of the institutions sponsoring this program. You will have to place each one of them in these placeholders. So I'm going to select everything here, copy, going back to the project library, I'm going to choose partial derivatives and place the outro like we did in the first place. So paste. Now we have the outro. Let's preview this.
Derivadas deem o mesmo valor.
It's looking good. I'm going to pause here. And now, if you do have the sponsors, let me zoom in. You'll have to get in this compound clip and change these placeholders. If you want to change these placeholders, you will have to import the logo of the institution that's sponsoring you into the event itself. After that, you can just drag and drop into the sponsor placeholder and replace it. I'm going back to the other outro. So I am going to delete this one, including this transition. I'm going to get the outro without sponsors, copy it, back to our project, and paste it in the end. Now we are ready to export our file. To export our file, we just go to Share, Export Movie. We can use the current settings, or we can compress it using H.264. By using this, we will significantly lower the size of the file, but it will take longer. So if you don't have a lot of hard disk free space, you should choose this one. And you just click Next. You choose where you want to save it. I'm going to choose desktop just for the demonstration, and save. Now you can just go grab a coffee and wait for this project to be exported. As soon as the export finishes, Final Cut Pro opens QuickTime so that you can preview what you outputted.
Portanto, será pertinente perguntar.
The video is now ready for upload. When you add it to an academic lesson, Always use your good judgment in the adjustments you make, and always aim for a better quality product. I will see you next time, and thank you for watching.